Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show. Today, I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I've been wanting to do this review for a while, but Ten Card recently did a video on humorous role playing games, and that instantly sealed the deal for me with this particular book. Before I ever read any of Tolkien, before I'd even, I might have seen the Hobbit cartoon, but I definitely hadn't, experienced much more than that when it comes to Tolkien. And mind you, I was very young. I want to say I was about 14. I'd already been playing D&D for a while. I believe, it's a little, hazy. I'm an old guy, and it was a long time ago. But what sealed the deal for me to read Tolkien wasn't anything short of this book, Board of the Rings by the Harvard Lampoon. I saw this in one of my local. It wasn't even a game store. It was sort of like a. It was actually Price's Cinema Shop or something to that name. I'm sure I'm off on that, but Price was a guy who had a small comic book store in his movie memorabilia shop. He sold mostly movie posters and stills of famous movie stars and autographed pictures and buttons and pins and all kinds of things like that. And he had a nice magazine and book rack, and I saw this book, Board of the Rings, and while I'm inclined to read a bit of it for you, I've received massive fan letters and protests requesting that I don't, and I'm just going to recommend this for you guys. It is a complete parody of not just The Hobbit but The Lord of the Rings in the funniest way I could imagine. I had read Mad Magazine's version of, I believe it was the Lord of the Rings movie when it came out afterwards, and that paled in comparison to this. It's only 160 pages, and I actually only paid $1 for it. I've had this book in my collection for, about 40 years, and every once in a while, I break it out when I need a good laugh. It was, like I said, instrumental in my deciding to read the mountain of information written by J.R.R.Tolkien. I've read The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings. I tried getting through the Silmarillion and obviously failed, as most people do. That's a tough pill to swallow. But this one, on the other hand, is not. It is completely ridiculous and silly in every respect. But you can tell by reading this that they did actually read all of Tolkien's works when it comes to the four books that are the mainstay of his his works. The uh, the amount of laughter I got from this book has yet to be paralleled in any way, shape, or form. I've watched numerous comedies and on TV and the big screen. The only thing that for me that comes close, I guess, would be the movie Real Men with John Travolta and James Belushi. If you ever want absolutely ridiculous waste of an hour and a half, I recommend you watch that movie if you can. If you can even find it. But if you're in for something even better, along the lines of complete ridiculous fantasy humor, I can't recommend a book more than this one. And I want to thank Eric for urging me on to do something to go in line with humorous role playing games. And back when we were young, a lot of my friends, and I know everybody else did this too, we would give our characters ridiculously inappropriate names. Um, I'm sure you guys all had the same sort of thing. I think even my son has one character that falls under that category. His Frank character is got a bit of a humorous name. Um, but yeah, I'm sure everybody's done it at least once or twice, if not multiple times. If not, You're the guy who does it every time. You come up with a ridiculous name that really, its humor obviously comes from the 20th or 21st century as opposed to, the olden days. I try not to do it with my NPCs, but if I'm playing in a game, which is a pretty rare occurrence, I don't think I've been in a game in about 15, maybe 20 years since I was in somebody else's game, and I'm pretty sure I had a ridiculous name. And, a buddy of mine, his favorite character was probably the Jester from the Dragon magazine. So, throwing some humor into your D&D games, it isn't a horrible idea. It's actually a lot of fun sometimes. And we were talking recently about the game Toon, and Eric was talking a bit about paranoia, excuse me. So if you guys really want, a good, couple hours of just nonstop laughter, especially if you're fans of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, the cartoons, the movies, the books, anything like that, this is going to be right up your alley. I hope if you guys have already read it, you'll give me a thumbs up for it, and tell me a little bit about your reaction to it. I know there's probably some people out there that just absolutely despise this book because it blasphemes Tolkien's work. But for those people, I'm just gonna say sorry to hear that. I'm hoping that someday my son will be able to make it past the first couple of pages of this book, but I highly doubt it. We had quite an interesting discussion about it. He was well, let's just say he was blushing just a little bit, to say the least, when he got to a certain part of this book, which is in the front couple of pages, which is actually what got me to bite the bullet and shill out my dollar for this book. I'm tempted to read it out loud, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna let you guys, enjoy that for yourselves, and hopefully you will get as big a kick out of it as I did. I really can't recommend this book enough. And don't worry, folks. I'll be on to something a little more serious next week with a time-honored classic in the fantasy genre, and I believe it is also recommended by Gygax and Arneson in the Dungeon Master's Guide. I'm gonna have to double check on that. But until next time, folks, we'll see you Thursday with a craft from the little guy, all out of his brain. And then Friday, I will be doing part 6 of the Arduin series. So have a great week, guys. We love you, and we'll see you real soon. Good night.